Welcome everyone to this episode of All the Good Titles Were Taken. You know what? We almost started exactly right on time. Because if I can't start this show on time, the only person I have to blame is myself. Being that I'm the only person here. So if I'm falling behind and I'm not starting this show on time, it's my own damn fault. I'm not waiting for someone else to show up. I'm not waiting on someone else to come in. It's just me. So, with that said, welcome to this latest episode of All the Good Titles Were Taken. Make sure, if you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe or follow button, depending on where you are tuning in from, because we are live on YouTube, Rumble, Kick, and X. So, everyone, welcome. So, I ran across this video, and this kind of plays into my not wanting to really tip during the month of February and doing a no-tip February. Now, part of it is tipping culture has gotten way out of control, and so I'm kind of getting sick of just constantly being prompted for almost anything, getting hit with a question about tip or having to tip. Now, there's some services, sure, you're going to tip, but the no tip February for me is more a way for me also to stop going out so much, to bring things back home, cooking a little bit more for myself, making, and in itself is actually helping to produce better decision making for when it comes to the food that I'm eating, to try to slim up a little bit. Because you know what? We always can be doing a little bit better with our own weight, our own health with the things that we eat. So even going out to the store, not getting those ready to heat meals, going and getting stuff that actually is maybe going to be a little healthier. It may take a little bit of time, but I do enjoy cooking. I need to do it more often. But with that said, we are going to start off with the video. And this one comes from, it's in the show description. Her name is Lindy Glenn. She has a few of these types of videos going in depth into tipping and some other things, and I've started watching some of her stuff, and it's been very eye-opening on some of this stuff. Some of the stuff that, you want to know what, I hadn't even thought about, and you want to know what, I brainlessly do myself. So with that said, let me get things going, and we will start off. Let's pull you up. Okay, here we go.
That wasn't $5.59. Where'd the extra $5 come from? Could it been from that tappity tap of her itchy finger? What? Non-tipper fee? The audacity of this situation is them assuming that this person wasn't going to tip anyway.
It's $8.65. That's not what 20% showing on here. They were trying to get an extra $5 out of me.
If you try to screw me over, you're going to get nothing. And I'm probably going to try to get your ass fired. Just saying.
So I have been enjoying a lot of her videos that she's been making. Like I said, the link to her channel is in the description of the show. So if you like what she is producing with the video reaction tonight, make sure and go check out some of her videos. If you like what she's doing, give her a subscription, give her a follow, and watch her stuff.
So today we're going to talk about something that should never be happening, but somehow it keeps happening anyway. Lately, people on social media have been exposing restaurants and wait staff doing a little extra math. And not the kind that benefits you. Listen, we are all frustrated with tipping culture. I've done numerous tipping culture videos on my channel, but the secret tipping, the sneaky tipping, the I hope you don't notice kind of tipping, that is a whole different situation.
And that's where I'm kind of coming on it. Now, she's really going to be talking, it seems like, about the restaurant industry specifically, but just the amount of tipping on everything. Because I mean, if you just even go to a place that you know their staff is actually well paid, but then they're still asking for a tip on top of it, I've heard stories of wait staff that don't even get to keep their tips. All their tips are pooled, and then it's given to and then it's then evenly distributed amongst everyone. And it's like, well, that's a nice communist way of doing things. So the person that's actually doing the labor out in front, who the tip is supposed to be going to, is being shared with everyone. So in true communist form, a shitty waiter is going to reap the benefits of the good waitress or waiter and take some of their profits because they did a great job. They did excellent service. So they got nicely tipped, and yet they don't even get to keep that tip for themselves. Now, I understand the aspect of some people talk about that. That's how the income, the pay is improved for, let's say, kitchen staff. Well, if you're not even paying your kitchen staff well enough, I don't think you should have a business. If you're going to have your wait staff be the ones that are underpaid, which again, I am not a fan in any kind of way of businesses not properly paying for the labor of the staff. And we're one of the few countries that actually has tipping culture. And a lot of Asian countries, travelers have found that it's actually an insult to tip in Asian countries, because if you tip in some of the Asian countries, it's an insult to the business owner, because now what you're saying to the business owner is you feel you're not that the owner is not paying their staff well enough. And then that's why you're getting a tip. It's a different culture altogether. Now, if you look at the background history of tipping in general, it kind of goes back to that little bit of the dark history of the country with racism and everything else. This was the only way that a lot of initial staffing in that way of food service and other services like that, they weren't even paid at all. They were employed, but the only way they actually made any money was completely through any kind of tip that was left. So it has a background in very negative parts of our history, but yet we're putting more and more, and we're putting the brunt of paying the wages of service industry workers at the feet of the consumer, instead of the business owner actually paying a fair wage for the labor. Now, granted, restaurants in some places, they don't have much of a margin. So you pay your employees more. Yeah, your prices are going to go up, but to each their own. Let's get back into this.
They were looking at real life examples of people catching inflated tips, sneaky checkout screens, and charges that don't match what they approved. Because if you're not checking your receipts, doing your own math, or watching your bank statements, someone else might be helping themselves to your money. All right, so this says, watch this Starbucks employee scam me and tip herself. And the description of this video says, note, I don't care about the $5. I figure that I wasn't the first, and I won't be the last person in this circumstance.
Cool, I've never had a motorcycle come through before.
Hello.
Hi. 559, please.
I'm sorry?
559.
Oh, yeah, of course, I got you. Thank you, by the way. I should have come prepared. I have plenty of time to wait.
Alright, here goes. Tap it right there.
That employee needs to be fired. Unless Starbucks now is direct, or Starbucks employees are being instructed to do that, then that is a bigger problem at Starbucks. If it's that cashier herself that decided to make that decision, she needs to be fired. She quite literally robbed that person. You heard the total of that total. She tipped herself $5. And too many times, I'm guilty of this too. Too many times I'll just sit there, do it, not even think about it. I'm becoming a lot more hypersensitive to watching these things. This is getting ridiculous that this stuff is happening again. That by definition is theft. This cashier literally stole money from another person.
50 meg, please. 550 meg, please.
That wasn't $5.59. He got that text notification for over $10. Where'd the extra $5 come from? Could it been from that tappity tap of her itchy finger?
All right. Thank you so much. Give a shot. All right. I'll be out of this guy's leg. All right. See you later.
I don't mean to keep pausing it, but just watching this, I'm thinking of things. Aside from the fact that this is straight up theft, we're just getting this video started. In case you didn't already know, doing this is theft. You are stealing. She basically reached into his pocket and pulled out a $5 bill for herself. It's the same thing as theft. Anybody that does anything like this, it is theft. Second of all, the audacity. She gave herself a 100% tip. His total was only $5.50 whatever cents, and she added a $5 tip. You'd think if she was actually trying to be sneaky, she would have done it a little bit less. That way, maybe it wasn't detectable. Because think about it. If he's getting the text notifications for the dollar amounts that come off of his debit card, if it says something like $6.89.
That's one thing I will say. I have text alerts for all of my cards, my debit card, my credit card. So I pay attention to those things because it's one way also to beat and pay attention to any kind of fraud that's on your credit card and stuff like that. If your company offers the ability to like text message you when a transaction occurs on your credit card or your debit card, do it. Especially if you're not watching your credit card statements at the end of the month or really going through it deeply. Good way to check to make sure that something nefarious isn't happening is having those text alerts set up on your phone. That or even in your email. Unless you don't check your email that often, then it's not beneficial. But that's why text message to your phone about any transactions against your credit card or debit card, very important to help to find out if you've been essentially hacked for your credit card or debit card, so that you can promptly, if necessary, lock your card down or report the fraud. A lot of credit unions and banks now can kill your card and get you a new one the same day. I know my credit union does that, so I've had to, in the past, a few times, get a new debit card because the card got hacked. And all of a sudden, charges I did not authorize in any kind of way all of a sudden showed up on it. And I got that shut down, immediately. The worst time for it to happen is right there on the weekend, because they potentially could sit there and do it. And that's, again, why I don't use debit card for anything where I don't have full control over it, in the sense that if it's online shopping, I will not at all use my debit card. Because that's my real money. That's actually my money that they're messing with. And I made and put other safeguards in place so they can't turn around and try to drain my bank account. It's locked down. I've made some moves. I've learned my lessons.
He might have thought, oh, maybe she accidentally gave me the wrong total, but $6 and whatever is still in the realm of possibility for the cost of the drink. But over $10? She raised up her own red flags. Thinking how I should handle this. He noticed. Yeah, that was definitely not a mistake. He realizes. Oh, he's gonna go in and confront her. Part 2, I need part 2. I am currently scrolling to look for this video. This is my dedication. I must see this confrontation, but I am not finding it. Come on. Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me, guy. Don't do this. All right, guy. You have, ooh, CJ, this is mean. Okay, hold on. I found it and it says, why I'm choosing not to post part 2. Sorry.
Oh, that can't be good.
Oh my God, look at this. It's just a video of him riding his bike and it's just a song playing. And the caption says, here's the scoop. I didn't have my camera on me when I went to Starbucks. I left the 360 camera mounted on the bike. You have to see the first video, therefore I have no footage. I did get to confront her and another employee. She claimed that it was a mistake. Bullshit. I told her that I knew it was intentional and that she was a thief. Rest assured, I also sprinkled in some colorful adult words. I'm not interested in reporting her. Humiliation will suffice, but if you're itching for justice, the
Reporter. He should have reported her, because I guarantee you he's not the only one that she's done that to. There's got to start being repercussions for thievery. It may be a very low charge. It may be a very low crime, but consequences. There's got to be. This is getting ridiculous because, again, it's the broken glass when a theory of crime. It's what they did to clean up New York. You start actually prosecuting lower level crimes, and it will have an effect on higher level crimes. But this is the same culture that allows terrorists to constantly burn down cities and nothing ever happens to them, i.e. Minneapolis. So, yeah.
store number is 13877. Okay, dude, you can't tell us that you're gonna go confront her and then not post the confrontation. You should have left it out of the main video. My heart is broken. I wanted to see that level of drama. Unfortunately, that kind of thing happens too often on TikTok.
So I saw this video the other day that said if you're using those Ziosk things when you go out to eat at the restaurants and you're paying on those things, you might be getting ripped off. We go out to eat all the time and I pay at those Ziosk things at the table all the time. So the last time we went, I really paid attention because I wanted to test. So this was the screen on my Ziosk. The check amount was $64.16 and it has the 20% already programmed in there, and it has the 20% calculated at $14.15. Now normally I would have just hit pay 20%, I'm good, but I did some quick math in my head and decided to calculate it. 20% of $64.16 is $12.83. If I would have just left it at 20% here, it calculated it at $14.15.
That happened.
In that case, I wouldn't hold it against the waitress. She may not even be aware that that is occurring. She may know, or he may know that that's occurring. That's purely 100% on the company. And I don't want to hear excuses. Well, it comes into programming and it's the way computers are and stuff. Well, you want to know, it's an algorithm. It's a simple mathematical algorithm. So there should be no way. You want to know how you make it $2 more, or you're doing a different percentage. You're displaying 20%, but actually calculating at a higher percentage rate. It's unacceptable. Again, that right there is fraud. You're displaying you're saying a 20% tip and you are giving false calculations. One of two things is true. Either the company, that restaurant, knows that they are buffering and putting in a little bit of extra into that calculation, or if it's not the company, which, to be perfectly honest, I think that restaurant knows that's happening. It's the payment system that they're using that's done that. At this point, it's like you really should point it out to the company and go, you do realize that your ZPay or whatever, it's committing fraud. People need to start calling this stuff out and actually taking these companies to task on it. All these people want to be big against going against these big major corporations. Well, I'm not talking about going out and being mean to, let's say, a local mom and pop restaurant or a small little chain that's only in your area. Pay attention to those too and point it out, because you want to know what? They may not be aware, but we're talking about like the big chains, Chili's, Red Robin, all of these other ones, and that are using these types of displays, Applebee's. If their computer system is overcharging on a percentage like that, that's on the company. So you know that every single calculation is now wrong, that everyone's doing it. And I think they're planning on and hoping that people aren't going to stop and actually look and do the math to actually check to see if the calculation's even correct. I mean, I'm guilty of it too. I will admit it. Don't even think about it at times. And I've done that too. But again, after seeing a few of these videos, I'm now checking. I'm now paying attention to that. And I'm a person that tips very well. But I'm to the point now where if a company's going to try to cheat me or is going to try to essentially commit theft of my money underhandedly like that, I'm not going to go to that restaurant anymore. I'm more inclined not to even leave a tip.
A lot, and we're going to see that more than once here. So this one I actually featured on another tipping video that I did, but I wanted to bring it into this video because she says something that's very, very interesting that she was told when she asked about the inflated price. And I want to bring this up because I don't want anybody that deals with this kind of situation to not know the truth. Okay, so we're going to watch it again. Even though it's in another tipping video that I have, I want to watch it again and talk about it.
$5.66 plus 0 for service charge plus 34 cents equals $6. And my total is somehow $7.20. There's no gratuity or whatever. So I got 2 fountain drinks. The girl goes, your total $6. I hand her my credit card. She walks off to the side to swipe it, and I can see the screen, and it says $7.20. And I'm like, that's kind of weird. Like, that seems like a lot for like tax or something. And she goes, do you want a receipt? I said, yeah. So I grab my receipt, and then I go to the bathroom. I add that up to make sure it does equal 6, and then I'm not just stupid, which it does. And then I also realized that $1.20, which is what I was overcharged, is 20%. So then I go back. I ask her, was there a tip added to this? And she said, no, there's a 20% service fee on credit cards. Service charge, $0.
There's no a 20% service fee for credit cards. Credit cards and cashless payment is so ubiquitous now that a long time ago, when debit cards were starting to become used, they started and having actual digital reading of it. There used to be like a 25 cent service charge, every single time you used it. And that's early during the adoption of like debit cards. But now everyone is paying with a credit card, a debit card, Apple Pay, Google Wallet, whatever. That's how most transactions now occur. Cash is used a lot less. So to have a 20% service fee, and then I guess whoever was the cashier or the waitress or whoever that she was dealing with is quite literally either lying, or that company that looks like a golf club is scamming people because they say it's a service fee. Well, for one thing, the receipt clearly shows, and she's right, do the math. If you look at the tax plus the subtotal, that's $6. And where they say that other charge, it's $0. But yet somehow it jumps to $7.20. $1.20, all of a sudden, no indication of where that's even coming from. Again, this is why check your bills. Even when you go out and you get like a hotel room, or you go down to Las Vegas and fees and stuff like that, pay attention to your bills. Actually get the receipt and inspect it.
So then I'm like, oh, like that would have been nice to know before I handed you my credit card because.
Nope. This person is lying to her. No business charges a 20% surcharge for credit cards. And if they say they do, they're either lying or they need to be reported. So there are a lot of businesses that will tack on a certain percentage if you decide to use a credit card, but usually at max I've seen is like 4%. I've seen some places charge like 3.99. I've seen some places charge 3%. That is a reasonable fee to tack on for using a credit card, right?
Honestly, I don't think there should be any charge for using a credit card. There should be no charge for using a debit card. The fact of the matter is that's a transaction that's all paperless. It's not cash that they have to keep and then get and take to a bank at the end of the day or end of the week, however they may be handling it. It's and like I said, we're in a society now that everyone's paying with some kind of card, or like I said earlier, using digital wallets in the sense of like Apple Pay or Google Wallet. I mean, that it's actually, it frustrates me to see any kind of charge for using a credit card.
I've also seen places give a 3 or a 5% discount if you choose to use cash. So it's not always a surcharge. Sometimes they give a very small cash discount because you're not using a card. They don't have to pay a processing fee. There is no way in hell that a business would charge 20% for a credit card fee. If you ever have a business try to claim that, they're scamming you on the tip. They're scamming you on the tip. No business in their right mind would charge 20% for a credit card processing fee. Think about how much that would be if it was a $20 meal. She just got a couple of fountain drinks for $6. If you're talking.
That actually brings up a really good point. And it was when I was talking about in the past, the fees that were put on because of the use. I've not. See, this is where I don't know what she's specifically talking about of a service fee for transactions when it comes to using credit cards and stuff like that for processing fees. A lot of times they already kind of built that into the pricing a little bit. But in addition to that, the only place I've ever seen for a discount by using cash is a gas station. But speaking of in the past, I do remember when debit cards were starting to become more being used and were coming out, and this was 90s is when they really started taking off, mid 90s, late 90s, is that it had a minimum purchase. You had to buy a certain dollar amount to be able to use it. If it was under a certain dollar amount, you could only pay cash. I do remember those days, and I do remember like a 25-cent service fee, if you will, for if you use debit card or processing fee. But yeah. And Vagabond brings processing fee is usually why gas stations ask you at least to spend $3. Yes, yep. And that's why they also kind of, and some places will still kind of say that, like minimum purchase, and that's to cover the fee. If you buy a really inexpensive item, use a debit card. Well, yeah, a debit card or a credit card. And they say, let's say they do have every transaction's a quarter. Well, they just lost a quarter off that sale because they got to pay for the processing fee. So I can understand that aspect a lot, but because of how ubiquitous credit card use and debit cards are, most places don't even have a service fee in at all anymore, or don't even identify it, or they kind of build it into the cost, or just have it listed as a service fee. But most of the places I've been to, I have not seen an actual line item as a service fee for using a debit or credit card. But I do know plenty of gas stations that do offer gas cheaper if you use a cash. And we actually have a few gas stations in town will only accept cash. They won't even process debit or credit card. And they got like an ATM just outside of or inside of the gas station for you to then withdraw money. And that's even a scam in itself because the processing fee, because those aren't attached to a bank, it's actually a independent company that runs those ATMs. So you have huge ATM fees on that. Plus it's not in network in most cases. So you're getting hit from your own bank or credit union with an additional amount. Vagabond points out usually 0.05 cents to 30% or 30 cents. Yeah.
Talking about a $20 meal. If it truly was a 20% credit card fee, you'd be paying $24 for a $20 meal. That is absolutely unacceptable and unreasonable. And that's why businesses don't charge that for a credit card processing fee. So if any business does this to you and just claims it's a credit card processing fee, they're lying. They've stolen from you. They need to be reported.
Make sure y'all check your receipts when you go to a restaurant. Let me show you something. Now, I'm covering up my card information so nobody steals my junk, but you see that total, $43.29 tip, and then the suggested amounts, 18%, 20%, 25%. Those numbers don't look right to me. Maybe it's because I actually know math pretty quickly off the top of my head. But how many people just look at that and then just write down whatever's on there? That's why you got to check your receipts. 43.29 times 0.2, which is 20%, is $8.65. That's not what 20% showing on here. They were trying to get an extra $5 out of me. I'm not cheap. I just don't like dishonesty.
Exactly. I probably say this in every video about tipping.
Yeah, that's why I started out earlier saying people need to be paying attention to it. Now, that looks like it's generated. Again, this I don't put onto the wait staff in any kind of way because this is the company doing it. It's their own programming. It's their own messaging. So unless it's something that they can just activate onto receipts, then it really is a questioning of either the company knows they're doing this or the company that they buy their software from for the register, it has that baked into the calculations. A lot of these places you can control your register. Restaurants have the ability to control their registers, and they can change how the percentages are done. Again, always check your receipt. Always do your own math. Tip what you think is right. Again, like I said, I'm a very big tipper. Those that know, we go to Las Vegas, and Vagabond's well aware of this. We went to an Irish pub for breakfast, and Theo Snodgrass, I was paying for his breakfast that morning, and the waitress didn't give good service to him, and he was not happy when I gave her a very nice tip because I thought the service was good. So I tipped her well, and Theo was not happy about it. He didn't think she deserved such a big tip. But hey, you want to know what? I think she did fine, and it was kind of fun that she kind of was making fun of him a little bit, and I think that's part of the reason why I kind of tipped her a little bit more because she was kind of mean a little bit to Theo, just a little bit. Maybe there's just a little bit there.
That I do. I am a good tipper. I over tip, especially if I enjoy the experience. I like the wait staff. I frequent the restaurant. I am a good tipper. But if you try to screw me over, you're going to get nothing. And I'm probably going to try to get your ass fired. Just saying. Now, granted, this is printed on the receipt. It's not like this is the waiter or the waitress trying to squeeze money out of you. This is, generated by their point of sale system and all of that. But either the business itself has input these numbers incorrectly, something is going on.
They have the ability to put because how many times have you gotten your receipt and actually read all of the stuff on the bottom? That's stuff that's being inputted by the company. So it's saying they're reading out tips to make it easier for people just to look and go, 20% is this amount. That's being written by the company. They either handed it off to a third party who's in charge of their point of sales or registers to put all that messaging in, or they're doing it themselves, which means it's the company's responsibility. Ultimately, it's the company's responsibility. I find things out like that. It's like I'm not inclined to go to that restaurant ever again. But that's, again, Everyone carries a calculator for the most part in their pockets nowadays. So there's no reason why you can't just take your bill. If you want to tip 20%, do your calculation for 20%. If you want to tip 30%, you can calculate your 30%. Doesn't really matter. You have that control. But the fact that the dishonesty that is being printed, that in itself is just completely dishonest, that is being printed out the bottom of that guy's receipt.
That is why I never ever trust what a Ziosk says. I never trust what a receipt recommends. I give the tip that I want to give based on whatever number I come up with in my head for the experience that I've had. Never, ever, ever trust those. You are not a bad person for breaking out a calculator to make sure that you're giving an appropriate tip.
When you guys are dining at these really nice restaurants, make sure you are checking your bank statements and your receipts after you leave the restaurant, because I had recently had a situation where a friend and I was at John George at the Mark Hotel, and they changed my tip from 20% to freaking 30%. So a friend and I decided to go there just for a drink and some appetizers. This was the bill. I tipped her 20%, but somehow my tip was changed from 20% to 30%. And the only reason I found out was because my bank notified me. Now, those who know me know that I always tip 20% at restaurants, no matter what. I used to work in the service industry as a beauty pro. So I understand how important tipping is, and I will tip more if the service is exceptional. But this is so...
That's a problem. That's a problem in itself. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but if a company does that, you sign for it with already a percentage in there, or you select that percentage and then the company retroactively goes and change it. Again, this is really shadiness of the restaurant industry. Specifically because a lot of these have been restaurants. The first one was Starbucks, yes. And that one, clear, obvious theft being done by the cashier and trying to say, oh, it was an excuse. Oh, sorry about that. That was by accident. The drink was like $5.50 and he gets the alert on his card for over $10. You see her hand go and hit a button, quite clearly hit that button for $5 tip. You see her look at it, you see her look, and she touches it. That's theft. This is also theft. If she is being truthful and honest about this, that's that restaurant quite literally committing theft.
So annoying and disgusting, especially because I go to this restaurant all the time because it's in my neighborhood. Now I feel like I can't trust the staff. And the reason why I feel like this is common at upscale restaurants specifically is because the bills are a lot larger and so are the tips. And if it's a restaurant where the people dining there has a lot of disposable income, they probably don't even notice that this is happening. I tried to notify the manager, and of course he treated it like it was no big deal, saying that it was just an inconvenience and he will go ahead and change the tip back to 20%. And this...
Sorry for the inconvenience that I robbed you. Really? That's all. That's the other thing too, is just companies using the, oh, sorry about that. That was our error. Oh, sorry. That was our mistake. Well, you want to know what? I think anything, you're kind of playing off the fact that most people aren't even actually going to notice this. Some people do pay attention to their bills. They take that receipt. They pay attention to it. I am, for one, if I sign the little credit card thing and put my tip in, I always write down my final, because I will check it when my alert comes to my phone when it finally hits my account. That's, again, why I recommended at the beginning of the show that if you have the ability, make sure you can set it so that anytime a transaction goes against your bank account, goes against your credit card, that it sends you a text message. That way you can see it in real time instead of waiting till the end of the month or randomly throughout the week or something like that, checking it online for your credit card statement of transactions. You get it all the time. You get it right there. I'm one of the folks that doesn't feel like driving back. Yeah. And I think I think really honestly, what most of those companies are kind of hoping that be the case, hoping that they're going to play the odds that one, they're not going to pay attention to it, and it's just going to, oh yeah, that's what I paid for, and never think twice about it. They're going to have they're hoping that it's such an inconvenience to turn around and go back to then dispute it in person that they're just going to just go, I'm not going to worry about it. And the percentage they're probably playing off of is probably going to be a very small percentage that's actually going to push back on it, fight it, and then them having to reverse it, which it looks like she might have been one that she's one that got it reversed. But I think that's what a lot of these companies, when it comes to the tipping and stuff like that, are playing off of, is they're playing the percentage game of who actually is going to notice and actually push back on it and get it fixed.
It just lets me know that stuff like this definitely happens all the time because he treated it like he wasn't even shocked about it. So please be careful when you are out dining, you guys.
Yes, although I don't quite understand how they were just able to change it from 20% to 30%, because usually when you're dining, if there is an option to select 20 or 30%, you usually select it and then you immediately sign and the transaction is complete. Maybe it's like a Ziosk or a handheld and she tapped the 20 and she gave him the card and they tapped the 30. I mean, I think that's what happened, because if they have it in their hands, if it's already tapped 20, they can just tap 30 and then complete the sale. That's maybe what happened. I don't know.
And that's the other thing I do with a lot of these that you sign for and stuff like that. I always push the complete. If I tip my percentage that I'm tipping, I select it, I sign for it. And I have seen some of my friends will sit there and then not complete the transaction and hand it back. I always complete the transaction so that things don't happen like that. And we don't know the circumstances of that woman's, if that's the case. And again, we're kind of missing some context. But yeah, once the transaction's completed, there should not be a way to retroactively go back, and managers might be able to do it, but the waitress or waiter at that moment can't transaction anything after it's already been the transaction's completed. Usually takes a supervisor or the manager, because of special passwords and whatnot, and access to that part of the system to make those changes. It's like any kind of grocery store. They got to sit there and delete a bunch of things or something like that, or they have to do some kind of override. They have to have a manager come in with a manager key or a manager password to make that alteration. The regular cashier, the regular waiter or waitress can't sit there and make those decisions themselves to change those things after it's already been completed. So I do, again, I don't know the full story of why hers jumped from a 20% to a 30%, what occurred there. But I still go back to the beginning of our show, to that one with the Starbucks, where you can clearly see the way the worker at the window, because she was going through drive-through, go and tap her hand on the screen of the credit card reader. She read out the total of 551, 552, something like that, and then it pinged on as being 1015.
It's hard to say.
We don't know if the other one had a discount or not, but this one for sure does not have a discount, and the percentage for the tip does not match up. So we have a total of $141.97. It says gratuity tip not included, but then when you come down here to 20%, it says $40.20, which is not 20%. This was somewhere in Las Vegas. What do we think about this? Because a lot of you were just like, it's just an extra couple dollars. Who cares? Just give it to the server. That's not the point. The point is that your intention is to give a percentage, and you're trusting that this percentage is correct. So it's really weird that we're just blindly, there's Josh, he's driving. We're just blindly trusting these numbers. It's just concerning, because also, do these numbers match up to what was on the menu? Are they trying to scam? Everything is a couple dollars more on the receipt than on the menu? What is going on? That's not okay to do in any type of business. I don't care if it's for the server or not. If my intention is to give you 20%, I want to give you 20%. I don't want to give you 25%. $25.
I'm noticing her tip, and for her to really show that is not great either. Because okay, a 20% tip. Well, let's do this math real quick. There's a way you can take the total, move the decimal over, and then double it. So she paid a little bit under 20%, but 20% of 40. Well, we'll just say $42. 142, because I think it's like 90 cents. So I would just round it up. So at 142, move the decimal over. That's $14.10. Double that. There's your 20%. That's 28. 28.20. It looks like she did either 28 straight or did exactly 20% at 28.20. But that just shows you too, that's a really bad calculation at $40.20 when 20% is actually 28.20. That's an additional $14 that this calculation on the receipt is saying 20% is. Take the 20. So that's almost a 30% tip at that point. Because again, same calculation at a 30%, take that over. So it's 14.10, times it by three. And that's 30. Yeah. It's a little under, it's closer to that 22 is technically 30%. Unbelievable. And yet 22 is at 44.22 when that's actually closer to 30%. Wow.
+% just because I don't want to do math.
Yeah, in this day and age, everybody has a freaking cell phone, right? You got a calculator on your cell phone. There's no excuse not to do your own math. Double check everything. Trust nothing. Machines make mistakes. A lot of people think that if it comes out on the receipt that it has to be A-okay because machines don't make mistakes. Computers don't make errors. Yeah, they do. And it's almost always in favor of the establishment that you're visiting, never in favor of the customer. So the
Okay, I'm pushing back right there. Machines make mistakes. Machines can be inaccurate. But yet those mistakes always go in favor of the company. I'm sorry, I completely disagree with you. That is an indication of the company. Because if all the errors go in favor of the company, then it's the company doing it. Again, the only way these machines are going to make a mistake, again, this is simple math. This is simple things that a computer can handle. It's a minor calculation. Total times percent. Recommended 20% is this much. It is a very simple calculation unless that inputted calculation is at a different percentage, which I'm starting to see over time through a lot of these that I've seen so far, is that all of the calculations are always off, which leads me to believe companies are doing this intentionally. Because again, it goes back to the fact that I think they're playing into the percentage game of they're not going to check it and they're just going to believe it. So that's what they're going to do. So they get away with it. Or in like Vagabond's case, they're not going to take the time to actually go back and dispute it in person or fight it and it is what it is. And then it's that small percentage that's maybe going to point it out. Again, that would be another place that I would kind of really question if I really want to go there to that restaurant. It better be damn good food to get me back if they're blatantly going to commit fraud like that. Yep, just like fine print, but with card purchases. Yeah, read that fine print. Pay attention to what you're signing for. Pay attention. And in the case of like the credit card, in the case of these receipts, granted, it's just a number calculation there at the bottom. But again, I think they're playing off of people just going to be like, oh, 20% is this much and just automatically put it in. Not having people that are starting to pay attention to it. I think what's happening now, they've been able to get away with it for years and years, and no one's really noticed it. But I have been seeing an increase in videos such as this one, where more and more people are starting to pay attention to these things. Because again, while the economy in some places may be improving, people still, I mean, going out to eat is back to being a luxury. It's something that you want to know what, you're going to treat yourself and go out to eat. And especially if you're going to something that's a little higher scale, you're going to pay attention to that, because again, you may have the money, you can cover a regular tip, but they're going to pay attention to it. So I think because there's less disposable cash going on right now, people are being a little bit more hypersensitive to the bills. And so when things like this are popping up now, I think people are starting to pay closer attention to that. How you doing there, Hellhound? Yes, I know I haven't finished setting up my my stuff for payment over on Kick yet. I will get there. Life would just calm down just a little bit for me to finish it up. I've started it, but I got sidetracked.
Story clicked in my head when she was talking about the prices of the items on the receipt. So there is a place that I went to where I do remember catching an error. So I had ordered a burger at a place that was supposed to come with a brioche bun. It was a restaurant that had a few different kinds of burgers. There's pretzel buns, brioche buns, and regular hamburger buns. The burger that I picked said that it...
Okay, pose a question. Brioche bun, regular bun, or a pretzel bun? I'm not a fan of pretzel buns. Brioche is kind of really specific. It's kind of the combination. I'm fine with just a regular hamburger bun. I think I'm just really not like a burger snob. And I really just, in general, bread, I'm not a big bread fan in general. So about the only time I really eat any kind of bread, well, besides if it's pizza crust, obviously, but is on a burger. Otherwise, I don't eat it. Yeah. Brioche is as soft as usually. Yeah. I have noticed that too. But there's a lot of the burgers that designed and stuff like that are usually, I will go with what the standard bun is, because when they're making these burgers, designing them and stuff like that, it's keeping in mind the bun that they're using. So the ones that are coming specifically with like brioche is designed around that bun. And that's part of the burger for the burger experience, taste, and everything else. So I usually will go with the default. I usually don't really change it. It depends on the restaurant you're at. Very true. Of course, I'm not one that really goes to any high-end burger places in any kind of way. I don't even go to Five Guys. I don't go to really any kind of... The fast food is very limited when it comes to burgers. Now I do go to Red Robin. In a pinch, I'll go to Jack in the Box, mainly because I like the sourdough jack. And of course, that's on sourdough.
Came on a brioche bun. It's part of the reason why I ordered it. I love brioche. When I got the check, I realized that there was an extra $1 fee for a brioche bun. And I asked the waitress about it. I'm like, why is there an extra charge for a brioche?
Agreed. Homemade is always the best. And that's part of my campaign of the no tip February. It's not so much to sit there and kind of punish food service workers by not tipping them, or it's for me to look at my life specifically on what I'm spending money on, what kind of choices I'm making when it comes to food, to help get a little bit realignment in what I'm eating, to not eat out as much as I have in the past. It's a way for me to then, especially because, like I said earlier, I'm looking to kind of maybe lose a little bit of weight, and that a lot of it has to do with the fast food consumption that I'm actually doing. And so, yeah. Also joining us in the chat, welcome. We got Real Wade Nation Gaming recap, welcome. And of course, Mr. Scott, awesome. Now that fast food costs as much as most mom and pop restaurants, I go to fast food a lot less. And this is true. And on top of that, serving sizes. You can get the same, you can get a bigger portion and better food quality from a mom and pop place at the same price point as like a Big Mac from McDonald's or a Whopper if you're a fan of Burger King. And it's lower quality. And yeah, that's why I'm looking when I do no tip February, I pay more attention to where I'm going. I cook more at home. I try to eat a little bit healthier. And so that's part of the reason for it. And Iron Oxide and I went into it and talking about the whole point that my little campaign of no tip February seems like I'm going out to attack the service industry when they already are lower paid positions. And that's not the case. Again, it's more self-reflection to not go to places that you have to tip. Making coffee at home. Don't go to Starbucks. Don't go to Dutch Brothers and stuff like that so often. When it comes to restaurants, cooking at home, making better choices there. And even with the cooking at home, it's buying more fresh ingredients, if possible, trying different recipes out, because overall I know how to cook. I quite enjoy cooking. It's just finding that time and intentionally doing it. It's just like going to the gym. You've got to make the time and you have to force yourself to do it, especially in the beginning. But if you can start that behavior of going to the gym, it's the same with like cooking. You start the behavior and then it becomes a little bit of a ritual, and then you sit there and start cooking. I quite enjoy cooking. I think it's a stress reliever for me. Let's see what else we got. Let's see. Hellhound, find a local grocery store who sells ribeye for like $6-7 a pound. Cut it up yourself. Saves a lot of money. Yeah, absolutely. Vagabond, let's see, I ordered to go from mom and pop place instead of fast food. Why pay the same price for lower quality food and small portions? Absolutely. 100%. Cannot agree more. And on top of that, a lot of that food is so much more tastier from the mom and pop places.
Brioche bun here. And she says, oh, if you request brioche, then you get an extra charge. And I just looked at her and I said, the burger that I ordered came with a brioche bun. And she just kind of stared at me. And I'm just like, the burger that I ordered already came with a brioche bun. I didn't upgrade my bun. And sure enough, she left and she came back and she said, yeah, I checked you. You are right. That was incorrect. So if I wasn't paying attention, I would have paid an extra $1 for a brioche bun, which is what my burger came with anyway. So yes, always check your receipts and make mental notes of what you should be paying.
Restaurant server scam.
In this case, that one I think is maybe in the case of the waitress or waiter. I think she said waitress. I think that just was an error on her part. To be perfectly honest, she could have been newer staff and didn't know that, just knew what charges are supposed to be in there. Brioche is an upgrade on burgers. And so that may have been a case of an accidental, but it still seems like, it could have been just not hoping that she wouldn't, again, going to that percentage, hoping that she would not notice and then get away with taking it. Because, again, it's an extra $1 to the company, but it's $1 that's added to the bill, which also ups the potential tip at the end, depending on the percentage. It is retardation or trying to scam and keep the buck. Absolutely. I don't disagree there.
Let's talk about it. Server has a party of 4 sitting in the section, husband, wife, 2 kids. They order 4 non-alcoholic beverages, 4 Cokes. At the end of the meal, it's $100. Server drops off the check, realizes that the guest is paying with cash. Server takes the cash, goes over to the POS system, removes 2 of those beverages and puts them on a blank check, splits them off onto a blank check. So now that $100 check just turned into a $94 check. And this server just tipped an additional $6 on top of the tip that was already left for the $100 check. Do this a couple times a day. You go over to your manager. At the end of the shift, you have one check that has 10 beverages that are unaccounted for.
They explained to the manager they were mess ups throughout the day. They were not supposed to be rung up, or they were rung up incorrectly, or they were part of a combo. Manager doesn't check it, deletes it. Server just made an additional $30. Boom.
So this is not really something that you can prevent, because I prefer to pay in cash. I don't like using a card for stuff like this. I prefer to use cash, but you cannot.
No, it's not hate on fast food. But modern fast food, the whole point of McDonald's was just that fast, easy, and expensive, and it's just not there anymore. Let's see, focusing on trying to increase your neurotransmitter with a diet or supplements can help with motivating you. Your low willpower is low. Yep, this is very true as well. And that can also, I mean, better food, better intake of nutrients and stuff like that. You'll get better sleep. You'll have more energy. And again, everyone tries all these fad diets and tries different things. It's just everyone's body chemistry and digestive is just slightly different. So not every diet works for everyone else. One will work for one, but won't work for another. That's why there's a lot of people that'll go to these some dietitians, and they will sit there and do tests. Go and eat these certain things and tell me how you feel afterward to determine exactly. Or in some cases, they can use genetic testing to find out what the probability are of actually what is actually good for a diet for your internal makeup. The problem is there's scammers like this in any sector. The mentality will try to find a way in a warehouse fulfillment too. This is true. It fell off the back of it. It fell off the back of the truck syndrome. Yeah, it really is true. It doesn't matter the industry. You're going to find some scammers that are going to try to just sit there and get that extra buck and out of anything they want. And again, she's right. This has nothing to do with the company. This definitely looks like it's the waiter themselves. So it's just a person. Now, whether he'll ever get caught, that waiter may get caught eventually or may not. I may have been doing it for years already and never been caught. Who knows? But again, that affects the company, not the family that was paying that bill, because he's just pocketing some extra money, taking it off the bill that they were already having to pay for.
Stop a restaurant server or a fast food worker. You can't stop them from doing something like this if you pay cash. It's really easy for them to just delete a drink, because how are you going to inventory drinks? It's really hard to inventory drinks. Okay, I got to point this out. Don't eat their taco meat. It's yeah. Okay, so let's say it's like I worked at Taco Bell for 3 months. This is just before the taco filling scandal. And he said, don't eat their taco meat. It's 30% mystery meat. Yeah, isn't it just kind of like, it's just a filler, isn't it? Not necessarily. Is it mystery meat itself, or is it just like a like grain-based filler? Mystery horse, baby. There might be some sort of an estimate on something like syrup. Like obviously alcoholic drinks are easily tracked because of the bottles and inventory and all of that. But soda, which is $3 or more at a restaurant, you can't really track that because it's just syrup and carbonated water. So it's really easy to just remove those off of checks and pocket the extra money. And you really can't stop it.
And Taco Bell's taking a beating, and I do not disagree. Okay, so yeah, they got caught using horse meat, and then Vagabond says Taco Bell just gives bite-sized portions, not worth it. Yeah, especially for the price anymore. Yeah, Taco Bell used to be that late night. They were open late. It was good. You could get for a couple bucks enough to at least fill you, especially in the middle of the night when there's nothing else open, or you have a midnight or a late night craving, or you're coming back from the bar. Not so much anymore, but I will say there is one item I wish would come back to Taco Bell, and that's the double XL grilled stuffed burrito. I love that one though.
from happening. So I'm sure it's going to happen, but it's still a scam to be aware of nonetheless. Mostly because if you happen to catch it.
Gotta stop it again. We should ask DSP all of our fast food questions. Yes, I'm fairly certain he probably could answer every single one of them.
You can inform the restaurant and let them know that they have a shady employee.
So this Canadian restaurant covered the no tip option on their payment machine, and the internet is losing their minds. The restaurant is located in Burnaby, BC, and in the photo, it shows a black sticker that says tip and thank you on top of what's believed to be the no tip option. Now, a customer who recently ordered takeout from the restaurant left a Google review and said, "Did they forget that tipping was an option? We were planning to tip, but when we saw the sticker on top of the no tip button, we changed our mind." Online, people have been reacting to the viral photo, and they are not holding back. Like this user who said, "That option would make me not pay." And this user said, "I'll hit that percent button and put 0. But others kind of see it differently. Like this person who is defending the hospitality industry. They commented saying, "Clearly none of y'all have been a waiter." Another person also said, "Not tipping means that your server is paying out of pocket." All good points, but meanwhile, someone else said, "So sick of this tipping culture." So listen, we tried contacting the restaurant to ask why they've covered up the no tip option, but we did not hear back in time of publishing this video. So BG Squad, I just want to ask you this. What's your reaction to the no tip option being?
This is part of the nasty, nasty audacity of tipping culture right now.
Before we get into her comment, if a company is doing that, I definitely would not go back to that place. Yes, it's not great because the service industry is granted paid lower. When it comes to restaurants, yes, they do have a very lower margin for profit, because when you take out all of the expenses for running the business, cost of food, employees, yeah, their cost of margin. So the way to combat is again pay lower wages to keep their prices a little bit lower. So lower wages to their wait staff because it's supplemented with tips. So I understand at least again why Iron brings up the whole point that, hey, don't take it out on the wait staff when it comes to tipping. But again, this could be a place where, you want to know what, the Asian cultures, they don't have the tipping culture. It's actually an insult to tip in some Asian countries, because it's an attack on the owner, because that action is disrespectful, because what in their culture is saying is that the owner doesn't pay their staff enough, and then you have to pay additional. And again, a lot of the tipping aspect of things happened only in North America for the most part. So I think the real issue is people forgot tips are optional and based on good service. Look at DoorDash people getting angry because they demand tips. Absolutely. We've already had one woman that recently sprayed mace or pepper spray on a Wendy's order because she saw that she was tipped low. Other people, there was another one of a DoorDasher didn't get tipped, walked past the guy's vehicle, and as he was leaving, he keyed the side of the person's truck. How do you feel about automatic gratuity with large groups? To me, it disincentivizes tipping a lot of the time. Yeah, that's the automatic gratuity. This is actually, I'm a person that tips well if the service is good. If service is not great, then I mean, I'm still a decent tipper. I will still tip. But to automatically just assume a gratuity on that, you're not going to get, if they already have a gratuity on there, most people aren't going to tip any more than that because it's already tacked on. Again, gratuity charge on there. That's just, in my opinion, a service fee. That's a tacked on service fee because it doesn't allow you in any kind of way to determine the percentage that you want to pay for the tip. Because again, gratuity fee, automatic applied gratuity is trying to supplement as a tip. So even with large groups, I don't like the automatic tacking on of gratuity. Now, I get it. I do know why. I mean, I do understand a little bit of the theory behind large group gratuity is because it is more work for the host, for the waiter, waitress to tend to a larger group. But a lot of times, not in all cases, but in some cases, in large groups, they're individual bills. They do get broken up. So a large group may have like 5 bills, and each one could end up tipping themselves. I've seen a video of a woman that was going through, it was a large group. They did have some individual bills, and she still went through, and some didn't leave a tip. Some left a decent tip, but on the overall, it all the time she spent to waiting on that table, it didn't really equate to, I think it only equated to like maybe $15 tip total, which it is more work. I don't disagree. It is more work to have to deal with a large group. Let's see what, it's actually Matt Walsh did a good video that America used to see tip as an insult, just like in Asian cultures. Yeah. And now it's on steroids. Almost everything is now requiring tip. And there's videos out there that are making fun of it. A woman walking past a soldier and say, "Thank you for your service," taps her on the shoulder and has a tip fee. A lifeguard going in and saving a person from drowning. As soon as they get out, "Oh, thank you for saving me," hands it out and said, "Okay, now tip me. Tip me or I'm throwing your ass back in." That's why I tip DoorDash, because the delivery mafia don't want to make them angry. Yeah. And finally, I agree with you on all that for sure. Yeah.
For a business to literally put a sticker over the button that you would tap to say no tip, that is dirty. Because trying to force tips is going to make people not tip. Are they crazy? You're just going to piss off your customers and cause people to be like, "No, take the food back. I don't want anything." People are so incredibly fed up with tipping culture right now. It's pretty ballsy to do something like this and risk pissing off your customers.
After getting a receipt from this restaurant, this woman just exposed their biggest secret.
Ooh, they being sneaky at the restaurants nowadays, y'all. Look at my bill. It's $47.35. To get 20%, you double the first 2 numbers, which would have put me around $9.50. When in the world did 20% become $12 on $47?
But is this a problem?
I can just look at this number and know that the 18% is incorrect. So quick little math tip to figure out what 20% or 30% would be. It's actually quite easy without a...
What do you mean you can unfix her? What's that mean, Hellhound? What do you mean you can unfix her?
Calculator, you just move the decimal point 1 space to the left, which gives you $3.19, and then you double it. So 20% would be roughly $6.38. $6.38 would be 20%. Why does it say here that 18% is $10.33? 18% is less than 20%, right? So why is the dollar amount so much higher than our projected $6.38? Methinks the math don't math. Always, always, always calculate it before just selecting the tip mindlessly. Unless the dollar amount that you're seeing is what you actually wanted to tip. I mean, you might want to tip $10 on a
She's good for now. She needs to think less and be more angry at men. Out of the videos I've seen so far of hers, she is a lot more even keel. Mr. Scott Austin says, my average tip is 10, above 15, excellent service 20. That seems to be about the rule of thumb for a lot of people. I would say my average tip is usually about 15. Excellent service can be anywhere from 20 to 25. I mean, a completely outstanding, from time to time, I could even hit up to 30. It really depends on my mood, the quality of the service. I've had a server before. I didn't even have to ask for more to drink. The drink was down to about half, and she was already bringing another drink over. And granted, this is free refill territory still, so it's not like it's bumping the bill up every single thing she brings. So she kept on it and did a good job making sure, asking if there was anything else, and not to the point where she was hovering and constantly going every so off. I mean, and coming in a standard interval, but just enough. And she got herself, in that case, a 30% tip. Those are the type of servers that I like, is the ones that a good server doesn't make you feel like you need anything. They provide everything you need without having to ask for it. Now, granted, they're not mind readers, so sometimes you do have to ask for those things. Ignore percentages. Yeah.
$31 ticket if the wait staff was amazing and the food was great. Don't trust them. If you can't do that easy mental math trick that I just told you, use a calculator. Nobody's going to shame you for it, and there's nothing wrong with doing that to make sure that you're not giving up more of your money than you intended to.
Hello, everyone. Happy, healthy Monday. I hope you all are well, glowing, and beautiful, and doing the damn thing like you're supposed to. Listen, I got a question. Y'all know I got lots of questions. So I just
the outstanding ones almost read minds.
So I went to this Hispanic restaurant and ordered some food, right? On the window, it only took me 30 minutes to get, but that's neither here nor there. The food was delicious. Yeah, I was ignored and passed up about 4 or 5 times, but I'm kind of used to it at this point. I ain't complaining no more. Y'all already know what it is. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I got my bill, I paid my bill, and because I ordered takeout, I decided not to add a tip to that bill, and I came home and ate my food, and my kids and I enjoyed ourselves. And then ding, this morning, my account said, your bill has been adjusted. Who gave these folks permission to add a tip? When did that become a thing?
Apparently, they don't think that they need permission to add a tip. They're just going to do it anyway. We've seen this happen numerous times. I'm telling you guys, you have got to pay attention, just like she did. Check your bank statements. Make sure that the dollar amount that you authorize is the dollar amount that they take.
Again, that's where I'll state it from my aspect. I've said this earlier. Make sure if your bank or credit union offers text messages for transactions against your account, set that up. Have that so you get a text message every time something hits your account. That way it pops up. You know exactly what's going on. If your credit card company offers the same thing every time a transaction happens against your credit card, good way to keep an eye on it to make sure your credit card hasn't been hacked. But also that you know when charges are actually happening to your account, and then you'll actually see things like this.
What? Non-tipper fee? Restaurants are enforcing 20% tips. Non-tipper fee. The audacity of this situation is them assuming that this person wasn't going to tip anyway. This is like that forced gratuity. You know how some places when they say
non-tipper fee, I think is just another way of saying automatic applied gratuity fee. If they're already going to just automatically tack on 20%, how are you supposed to dispute that? In the Vagabond. I don't use the bank. I just lock my Cash App or similar cards when not using them because I hate auto pay feature companies force on you. Yeah, I can get that. It really depends too. I have one credit card that I have auto pay set up, and that's the only thing that credit card is used for. And then it is just one monthly payment that pays for all of my stuff that's just on recurring payment. But one thing I'm learning right now when it comes to technology and everything else, and it'll probably be the next episode of the show. We're going to go over you will own nothing and you'll be happy when it comes to the side of subscription fees. Because I'm starting to I'm starting to cut the cord on a lot of things around my place. I am looking for older technology, things that do not need to be connected to the internet. I've moved my operating system to Linux. I'm getting rid of windows. Vagabond showed me, turned me on to a place that actually has makes modern TVs that are dumb, that aren't smart TVs, but yet still are large panel, and still it's just new regular TV, just with no smart features whatsoever. We should all get, yeah, we should all get beepers. Oh man. As long as they're not from the Middle East, I think that it may be a good idea. Let's see. Mr. Awesome Scott, I need to do that too. Yeah, the amount of technology and spying devices we've allowed to come right into our homes, from the Alexas, from the Nests, from smart TVs that are just displaying ads all the time but are constantly connected to the internet. These are things that just I'm just trying to get all of that stuff. The only place and the only time that data is going out of my system is when I'm doing shows like this. The only time that data is coming in is when I'm watching a stream or something like that I choose to watch at that time. So even with the dumb TV, I still can at least hook up, let's say, a laptop that's running Linux and just run YouTube and then display it up on the screen. That way it is very limited. Its telemetry is not going to Microsoft. Mr. Scott Awesome also says I need to use less Wi-Fi too. At my place, the only thing that is using Wi-Fi is my phone. Otherwise, anything else is completely hardwired in. Plus, I have an extremely insane password into my Wi-Fi. So if they can guess it, good on them, because I have to write it down, and then I have to pull it out if I have to connect something new to it, or I lose the connection from my phone and I have to re-enter it.
If you have a party of 8 people or more, you automatically have 18% put on the receipt, and then you can tip in addition to that. This is just the cold-blooded audacity that you're going to assume that nobody ever tips, and you're going to force a 20% tip on every single customer that walks in your door. That is gross. I would never, ever return to this place ever again. Tip -$11.16.
Yeah, let me move that. Yeah, -$11.16.
Oh, and there's a comment here that says, why is nobody talking about the fact that they charge $2 for ketchup? I didn't even realize that. They charge $2 for 4 ketchup packets? Yeah, I would never, ever return to this place ever again. Right, you guys, always check your receipt. Always do the math yourself. Always check your bank statements, because if the number doesn't match what you signed for, it's not a mistake, it's a problem. Tipping should always be a choice, not a surprise that you're blindsided by. And if a restaurant or waitstaff is relying on you to be a little bit distracted, rushed, or too polite to notice, that's shady behavior, period. A lot of us are really fed up with tipping culture, but
that's fraud and theft. If they're going in and making those changes after you've already signed, which ends the transaction, and they're going in and altering it, that's fraud and that's theft. If companies are constantly doing that, no, absolutely not. Vagabond will either confirm or deny. How much you want to bet that his password is I like big black dicks?
You know what? Being generous is fine. Being taken advantage of is not. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like and appreciate this kind of content, make sure to hit the thumbs up before you leave. While you're down there, double check and make sure that you are subscribed and ring that notification bell. That way.
So as I said earlier, the woman, her channel is in the description of the show. So if you liked what the videos that she's doing, go and check her out. Again, her name is Lindy Glenn. I've watched a few of her videos before, and she does talk about a few things. And so one thing that I've noticed is she's talked about a few of these tipping, because yeah, tipping culture here in the US has just gotten so out of control. I'm getting so sick of it. I'm getting tired of it. And it's just got to end. It should not be an automatic and an expectation. Again, Vagabond brought up a really good point in there that businesses have forgotten that is tipping is optional. Tipping is not to be expected. It's when you have good service, you give a tip. Even local. I mean, again, this is on the companies for not paying their workers enough. And I'm all about fair wages for fair work. And when it comes to the service industry, I don't think they pay fair wages. I will say that. But again, it's a service industry. But the difference is that you have a lot of people that are out there making a lot more money on things and they don't actually produce anything. And yet you do have these workers that are waiting on you and doing these tasks for you as you are out there trying to have a good evening. And a lot of times a bad waiter or waitress can ruin the entire evening. They can ruin the entire experience. But usually, like I said, I will always tip well for the most part, and I tip exceptional when the service is really good. So, well, that's it for this episode. Thank you, everyone, for being active in the chat. Great to have you guys here. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Like I said, next episode will be next Thursday at 6 p.m. PST. We're going to go over, like I said, the subscription fees that are now all throughout our lives and how much it's affecting and really living into the Davos you will own and the World Economic Forum of you will own nothing and you will be happy. Let's see. So thank you everyone for joining the chat. Also on Saturday at 7 p.m. PST is insert title here on the channel. And then on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. PST is Nerds Covering the News. This week is a special week for me. I will be over on Ballbusters over on Dermy's channel at 8 p.m. PST. So I will be joining Ballbusters this week. That'll be my first time over on Dermy's channel. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm going to be on the Whiskey Capitalist on... It looks like probably the 11th of March, I think is when I will be joining them over on their channel. So everyone, you have a great night. We will see you for the next show. Have a great night. Have a great rest of the week. And hopefully see you back in the chat for insert title here. Have a great night. Take it easy.